Yes, welcome to Home Studio Q&A for yet another week, episode 17. And we are here on the 1st of March 2020 or the 29th of February 2020, depending where you are in the world. This is our show all about home and mobile recording, where I answer your questions to help you continue creating, recording, and releasing your best music. My name is Pete, and we will be getting into the questions shortly. I've got a bunch. I've got 12 questions. I was hoping for 13 because that's lucky, but we've got 12 questions that I've got from throughout the week that people have been asking over at studiolivetoday.com, on the YouTube channel, via Instagram, via Twitter, via carrier pigeon. People will send me messages through a lot of different means. And we have folks here live on YouTube and Facebook. So if you are watching the show live, then throw your questions, put a big question in front of it, like the word question, and then your question, and I'll try to grab those as the show goes on. If you are listening on the replay of the video or on the podcast version, welcome to you too. You can get in touch with me and find out all the ways you can interact over at studiolivetoday.com. Let's jump into it. Now, every week I like to have a bit of a feature topic, and it's taken me 17 episodes, but we're finally talking about one of my favorite topics, which is GarageBand. So I wanted to give a quick introduction. I know that probably, based on my research, 70 to 80% of my viewers and listeners are GarageBand users already. So you might be saying, Pete, why are you talking about getting started with GarageBand? Well, for those who aren't using GarageBand or are just getting into it, or maybe this is the first one of my videos you've ever watched, why do I actually like GarageBand? Why do I recommend it? I actually asked this question over on the GarageBand users Facebook group. I highly recommend you join that group if you're a Facebook user and you love GarageBand. Just go to Facebook and search GarageBand users. Myself and the admins and mods over there will definitely help you get on board. But I asked the question, tell me in one sentence why you use GarageBand. And I got some pretty cool answers. And I might even make a video coming up where I showcase some of those answers, because people are still answering that question. But the main themes we'll sort of cover off on here. So there's kind of 4 reasons that I think people should use GarageBand, especially if you're starting out. Number one, and most obvious, is that it is free. So if you have any Mac, an iPhone, an iPad, an iPod Touch even, you can download, install, and use GarageBand for free within about 5 minutes. So the barrier to entry is virtually zero. You can get yourself started really quickly, and you can do it for free. So that's sort of point number one. Number two is it is so easy to get started with. So unlike a lot of other recording platforms where you have to work out, how do I arm the track? How do I add an effect? How do I access all the things? With GarageBand, you're like, I want to record a guitar. And then you press the button that says guitar. And then there's a picture of a guitar on your interface. And then you play it. And then it adds some presets that it thinks would be good for a guitar. Now, some people would cringe at that and say, that's terrible. I want to decide all my own things. But when you're starting out, let me tell you, it is really cool, because you learn some of the cool plugins and presets and compression settings and EQ settings that are suggested. And then you can go away and tweak it and make it your own. But it just gives you that little head start. So love that about GarageBand. Number 3 is it can grow with you. So I started using GarageBand, and funnily enough, I did a video just yesterday where I showed one of the very first projects I ever created on my iPhone, except it was my iPhone 5S from about 3 or 4 iPhones ago. And it was a project called Chickens on Howard Street. And I showcased some of how awful it was, but also you could sort of see the hints of me learning and getting to grasps with the program and how to record in it. And it was really clear that was able to be done then with the software. And what I can do now, because over time I've built up, I bought a cheap interface, cheap iRig to start with, recorded my guitar. Hey, cool, I can record my guitar. Bought an audio interface, Steinberg UR12. Oh, now I can record my microphone and my guitar in 24-bit quality onto my phone. This is ridiculous. Then I learned, how to mix and how to master all on my iPhone or iPad using GarageBand. So it does grow with you. And I think once a lot of people say, oh, I use GarageBand and then I'll graduate to another program. Totally cool. If there's something GarageBand doesn't do that you need to do, That is totally cool. I just haven't reached that point yet. We were chatting in the pre-show. Someone was talking about Cubases, and I'm like, yeah, I'm about to try Cubases for the first time, but that's after nearly 5 years using GarageBand. So it is great to get started and grows with you. And fourth and finally, because I'm going to jump into questions soon. I know we're talking a bit, but it's something I'm passionate about, is the community. So not only the community here at Studio Live today, but the community over on Facebook, on the GarageBand Reddit group, people that just email me randomly and say, hey, I made this song in GarageBand because you showed me that it could be done. And that's always super cool. So yes, there's a great community. If you go to Reddit, if you go to Facebook, you'll be able to find out, just search GarageBand users, you'll be able to find some great communities there to share your music and to learn about GarageBand. Let us jump in because we need to get into some questions or we'll be here talking GarageBand all day. Let me make sure that we're sharing my screen. I've been talking so long, it's turned my screen off. So I need to reshare my screen, which of course is not functioning. Hold the line, please. Your call is important to us. Why is this not working? Hold that thought for a moment while I fix things on the fly. I use an application called Reflector, and it usually works really well until it doesn't, and that's what it's doing right now. So we're just going to have to close down that app. Yes, we're going to close your Reflector, and then we're going to reopen it. As I say, this is my get out of jail card whenever I'm doing a live show. As I say, the fun thing about watching a live show is that sometimes it's really slick and really cool, and you get exactly what you expect, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a train wreck. And either way, hopefully it's at least entertaining, and you get to watch and laugh at my struggles if I'm struggling like I'm struggling now. I think we're nearly there. I think we've got it up there. There we go. And then we just need to go to my phone and we need to reflect and we need to put it to my desktop. It's going to give me a code. Yeah, I know. I normally do all this beforehand, but you're seeing a bit behind the curtain here. I'm just a little man, little wizard, pedaling a bike. Is that the Wizard of Oz thing? Is that what it's like? I don't know. I don't watch. I was about to say I don't follow pop culture, and the answer to that would be yeah, Pete. Wizard of Oz. That's so pop culture. You're right up there with it. Okay, we are good. We are back. Here we go. Slight delay. We'll fix it in editing. Oh, what? We're live? Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's jump in and start talking questions. We're going to have to be quick because we've got a lot to get through. Question number 1 comes from Dash Camera RO. Can I use SD memory as USB flash drive? So I've done a bunch of videos recently because, in case you weren't aware, in iOS 13 and iPadOS 13, you can actually use USB flash storage now. You do need a Lightning to USB adapter, something like the Lightning to USB or Lightning to USB 3 adapter to plug in, and you do need to power it up as well. So a lot of people say, what is the point of using portable storage on your iOS device if you still need to plug into power? You have a very good point. And I don't know, but you do. So can you use an SD card reader? Yes. So what you can use is anything that is formatted with an FAT file format. So we're talking about exFAT, FAT32, FAT16 even, and any Mac formatted drives. So hard drives, yes. SD card readers with an SD card, yes. Micro SD card readers, yes. USB flash drives, yes. So anything, it's more about the file system. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. Doesn't matter whether it's powered like a big chunky external hard drive or a tiny little flash drive. It will work as long as it has the right file format. So hopefully that helps you out with that one. Next question we have here, talking about copying and backing things up. So Jerry L, hello to you, says, great tutorial, Pete, as usual. Your show at 9:30 to 9:43, that in the Files app, you can compress the GarageBand file by hitting select, then tapping the specific GarageBand file and choose more and then compress. But on my iPhone, not iPad, I don't get the more option. How do I compress on the iPhone? Thanks. So the thing here is that, again, in iOS 13, and if you to run iOS 13 or iPadOS 13, you need an iPhone 6S or higher, an iPad Air 2 or higher, an iPad Mini 4 or higher, and any iPad Pro. If you have an earlier device and you're running iOS 12 or earlier, you won't have some of these cool new features, including the compression feature in the Files app of iOS. All is not lost, though, because thanks to the very cool Shortcuts app, you can actually easily create yourself a zip and unzip shortcut that you can use on your iPhone or iPad from any other app. And if you want to learn how to do that, here's a quick plug for you. If you want to learn about everything related to mobile recording and GarageBand, you can go to studiolivetoday.com. More specifically for this question, go to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, and that will direct you straight into my GarageBand FAQ, my frequently asked questions, where I answer all of the most frequent questions, including how do you zip up and unzip your files? And I've got both the tutorials there, the one for iOS 13, as well as the one for iOS 12 and earlier. So anyone looking for how to zip and unzip your files, then head on over to that one and you'll find out. Excuse me. Let's continue on here. Now, I've got a question from Nikki Noel. Very cool name. I've just had a look at your website. Looks great. I've had a quick browse of the topics, and perhaps MIDI editing will be the one I need. However, if I may cheat a bit and ask a question, of course you may. My question is, can I record a MIDI track of Alchemy synth while it's playing and make complex adjustments with filters, cutoff, resonance, etc.? Or would I need to have a cable out and split stereo to my Focusrite 2i2? So the question here is, if you have a recording, so let's just say you're using the Alchemy synth, or just go with that, using the Alchemy synth on your iPhone or your iPad or any other instrument in GarageBand, and then you want to record some knob movements, or you want to record some filters, or you want to record some changes. How do you do that? Well, thankfully, GarageBand has a cool option called Merge Recordings, not to be confused with merging tracks, which is a different thing again, which we'll talk about another time. But Merge Recordings means if you go into your track settings and you go to your recording options, you can turn it on, you can leave it off, or you can turn it on. With it on, if you're recording, what it does is it actually records over the top of the original recording, but it doesn't actually override it, it adds to it. So with it off, it'll overwrite it completely. So if you try and record your movements, it'll actually overwrite your original audio. But the beauty part with Merge Recordings on is you can record in your keyboard part. Let's just say you're playing a couple of chords and you're like, cool, but now I want to do a cool filter sweep over these chords. All you need to do is arm that track again, hit record, have Merge Recordings on, and then as you are hearing it back and it's playing, it'll play back the original audio. You can do your movements and it records those in, and you can rinse and repeat this stuff. So if you get it wrong again, you can go back and change those around. And then when you play it back, you'll see that those movements, those automation movements that you've put in there have stayed on the track. Very cool. There is a video about it over at the FAQ again, studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand. Next question here is from Adam Franks. Says, good morning. I have a question for you. I have a Steinberg UR22 interface, Equator D5 monitors, and a couple of other pieces of gear. I went and bought the Lightning to USB 3 iPad adapter, a powered hub that has external power. I'm having trouble getting the iPad to recognize the interface. So here is the problem, and I do feel very sorry because the Steinberg UR22, the original version, is not class compliant. So it was one of the first audio interfaces that Steinberg made, USB 2-channel audio interfaces. And when they made it, they didn't make a driverless mode, which means it'll work fine with your Mac. It'll work fine with your PC because you can download and install the drivers. It will not work with iOS because iOS does not allow you to install drivers. It needs to be what's called class compliant or driver free. And unfortunately, the original UR22 is not. What you will need to do is get something like a Steinberg UR12, which is, I know, confusing, which the one-channel one is, but the two-channel one's not. Steinberg UR22 Mark II, which was specifically released, the Mark II, because it does have iOS compatibility. And then the other one is like any other audio interface from like a Behringer or Focusrite or who am I missing? Presonus. So all of those that are more recent ones, basically anything in about the last 10 years is usually pretty cool. But yeah, it's some of those older interfaces that just don't have the ability to connect to your iPhone or iPad. So again, apologies for being the bearer of bad news, but hopefully that actually helps you out. And yeah, I never like the answer to be go out and buy something. But unfortunately, there is legitimately no way around that. You need some sort of interface that is going to be iOS compatible. Enough said. Let's move on here. Labat John has a question here. How can I convert vocal convert into MP3 from GarageBand? So this one is interesting. Converting to MP3 from GarageBand It should be easy, and it used to be a bit simpler. You used to be able to set up a shortcut that went straight into MP3 from within iOS itself. They removed the ability to convert to MP3 for whatever reason. I've got, again, if you, I've got an answer to this question over at the FAQ. It's going to be really easy. I used to have to send you to specific videos, but now I can just send you straight to the FAQ. So if you go to studiolive.com/GarageBand, there is a video there about converting to MP3. And I actually use an app called Voice Record. So Voice Record 7, I think is the version. It's a free app. You download it, you send your file to it, and then you can quickly and easily convert to anything. You can convert to mono files or stereo files. You can control the bit rate and the bit depth. You can control the encoding. You can leave it as a WAV file. You can encode it as MP3, M4A, whatever you like. It is, in my opinion, the best little tool for doing things like that in iOS. Let's jump in with next question from PVMA Trap Purple. So this is related to Amuse.io, releasing with Amuse. It says I need to have high quality audio files, so I can't upload my song. I'm really upset for that because I don't know how to upload them. So let's talk quality. We touched on it briefly just before. When you're releasing your own music, but places like Amuse or DistroKid, if you don't know what they do, they are music distributors. So what they will do is you upload your song, you upload your cover art, and then they distribute it for you. They send it to Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, Deezer, Amazon, all the different places that people can purchase or stream your music. And then that's it. So the beauty part is people can listen to your music on whatever platform. So what Amuse does is it's a free service. You upload it, and then about 2 weeks later, your music is available on all those platforms. Very cool service, and it's for free. The challenge that our friend here seems to be having is around audio quality. So when you are exporting your final mix or your final master of your song, the thing to be careful of is to make sure that you're leaving it in the highest possible quality. So don't mix it down to an M4A or an MP3 file. Leave it as a WAV file. And what you want to be aiming for is to have a full resolution WAV file that's 24-bit, or in the case of Amuse, 16-bit. To get that quality, again, on iOS, I recommend an app called Audio Share. It's about $3 to buy. It is one of the best apps that I have in my collection. You can also use the Voice Record 7 app, as I mentioned before. So yeah, just make sure that you're exporting at the highest possible quality. And if Amuse has an issue with the quality, if it says something's wrong, then you can go and convert the audio, make sure that it's going to be in a format that is going to work for the services. Let's move on to our next question here from Peps. Nickart says, "Hi Pete, thanks for this. But when I tried to export," this was to do with sharing and exporting your GarageBand files. When I tried to export my file as a WAV, it is grayed out and won't play. Is this a bug? How do I fix it? Also, how do I add my iCloud Drive as a destination option when sharing my file?" So a couple of questions here. This is all around a current bug in GarageBand. So there is a bug at the moment where if you just go share and save to files, it creates this weird file container that's grayed out, that won't play, that won't actually work. What you need to do is select open in, and then once it's open, then you hit save to files, then it saves out your file correctly. So that's the problem. That's the way to fix that first one. In relation to the second one, iCloud Drive is a destination when sharing. If you go through that process, then you will have that. So when you go save to files, it'll pop up that share sheet and it'll pop up your destination list. And from there, you can just tap iCloud Drive. It'll have all of your folders in there, and you can save it straight to your iCloud Drive. So hopefully that helps you and anyone else having this problem. I made a video about it, but I still get the question because it's really hard to get that video to where because people will search for different things like sharing won't work, or when I share, or my open in thing. Like I don't quite know how to put a video out there that's like a big red stop sign that says, "Hey, if you're exporting from GarageBand, make sure you do this." So yeah, if anyone else gets questions from anyone else about this, now you know, and now you can help pass on that love and share that knowledge with others. Next one here, John Connor, who I think is here on the live stream. Hello to you, my friend. Hi Pete, interesting video. Amuse released my track yesterday, but I don't have a copyright claim on YouTube when I uploaded my track on YouTube. I don't know if it takes a few more days for the Content ID system to match my track, or if Amuse haven't distributed my track on Content ID system, which I made sure to be on the app, by the way. What do you think? So Let's talk content ID and copyright for just a minute here. Content ID is a way to release your music to YouTube where it gets indexed by YouTube. And then if anyone, including you, includes your song in a video, then it will get flagged and a content claim, a copyright content claim, content ID claim will be put in. And then if that video is monetized and if that video makes any money through monetization, then you can claim that money back. There's a lot of ifs there. So, and that's why I say be cautious with this stuff. So here's how it will work. Here's what John's done. He's released a song. He's released it with a muse and he's ticked the box that says, yes, release to YouTube. Yes, do content ID. He's then uploaded a video of his own song and is wondering why he hasn't got a copyright claim against himself. It can take a little bit of time. So the way that it works is that you can imagine how many videos are on YouTube and how many things that they have to index. So with Content ID, it will take a little bit of time because the Content ID system has to firstly ingest your song from a muse. So a muse release it to YouTube. YouTube says, here's a release and it needs to go into Content ID. And then it does that. And then after that, it has to then go through and index all those videos and see, are any of these videos using John's song? And that can take some time. So sometimes it'll be kind of instant if it's really obvious and really quick and depending on all the algorithms and things. For mine in particular, so I did a video about how I made my song and then I released my song and it was probably a month to 2 months later and it didn't happen all at once. So I had 3 videos that had bits and pieces of the song in it. They all got claimed, but they all got claimed at different times. So obviously there's a little web crawler spidery thing that's going through and it's listening to all the different video audio and every time it finds one, it goes, aha. And then it puts the claim in. It's not just like, boom, you instantly get claimed, unless, of course, it's a song that's been on the platform for a very long time. So if you upload a Beatles song, you better believe that that's going to get claimed quick because that's sitting in their algorithm waiting. And every time a new video is uploaded, it checks for those really common songs. Anyway, hopefully that helps you out with that question. I think we're coming towards the end here, and then we will check in and see if there's questions from the folks who are here live. Again, if you are here live and you have a question, make sure that you put big question in front of it so that I know it's a question. I know the folks are chatting amongst themselves, which is great, but I want to make sure that we can actually catch any of those questions. A question here from Saavedra. Is it okay to connect the stereo out of a mixer to the 2 inputs on my 2x2 audio interface? Yes. It is. So yes, the question here is if you've got a mixer and an audio interface and you've got, say your audio interface is connected to your computer, and especially if your mixer is an analog mixer, doesn't have a USB connection, can you just get your stereo output from your mixer, plug it into your stereo input of your audio interface and record? Yes, you can. Couple of things to keep in mind. Be really careful with your gain staging or your volume. And I know I get in trouble for saying gain and volume are the same thing. They're not. But make sure that the input or the output going out of your mixer is not too loud, that your input gain settings on your interface are not up too high. It's very easy to get a distorted signal doing things like this. So what I tend to do is make sure that my output is at the level that is sounding good coming out of the mixer. So use some monitor speakers or your headphones and check your levels so that your output is good. And then start with, so make sure your audio interface, if it has a line in mode, that it's set to that. It's not set to instrument input. And then plug it in, have your gain all the way down and only tweak up that input gain if you're finding that you're not getting a healthy signal. Most of the time, your mixer is going to pump out a decent enough signal and you won't need to have those up. I've heard people get this really wrong where they turn the volume up on their input and you get this horrible crunchy mess. So yes, you can do that. Just be careful about your volumes and gain. Question from Victor Rinaldi. Pete, do you have a master volume between the metronome and the record button? This is a question about GarageBand. I wanted to throw this in here because I've thrown it away. I realized I was about to show you an example for those watching on the video on my iPhone. Then I realized my iPhone's being used to display the question on the screen. Well done, Pete. Well done. Bravo. So the answer to this question is on the iPad, you have a volume control. Now, that volume control up the top on your iPad in GarageBand is not actually a master volume track or fader. It is just the volume on your iPad. So don't be confused that that is going to really help you or tell you anything, or if you turn that master fader down, it's going to do anything to your track. It's not. It is just your iPad or iPhone's volume. And the iPhone doesn't have that at all. So you can still turn your volume up and down on your iPhone, but just because of the screen real estate, there's not enough room to actually do that. So yeah, that's the answer to that. If you're using GarageBand and you don't see the volume, then that is the reason why. Do we have some more questions? We do have a couple more. We'll have to get through these quick so we've got time for the live questions from LA. Hi, Pete, new to your channel. I'm curious about something. How do you connect your interface to your iPad? I have an IK Multimedia XIO, and I don't know how to connect it to my iPad. So the answer to this is I have a video. Yes, like most things, the answer is go to Studio Live today. In this case, if you go to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand and search for audio interface, I've got a complete video guide there about how to connect audio interfaces. But the basics are you'll need a lightning to USB adapter, you'll need some sort of powered source like a powered USB hub is usually a good idea, and then you'll be good to go. Those two items are the two kind of bits of kit that you'll definitely need to be checking out there. Excuse me. Coming into the home stretch here, I think this might be our last question, and then we'll jump over to the folks here live from the Pyro Steve, who joins us live and has lots of good things to say here on the channel. In all your videos I've seen, you use the drum kits or the drummer presets. Why are you so anti-sequencer? And then, haha. So, yes, it's interesting. I used the sequencer on my last track, so my track Imagination, because it was more electronic. I need to start using the sequencer for my acoustic drums as well. It's actually a really cool way to get some really good beats and grooves without having to go to the effort of tweaking the drummer or manually programming in your own drums. So Pyro Steve, yes, my pledge is that I'm going to start exploring the beat sequencer a lot more for my drums, because you're right, it's a cool way to create drums, and I should be diversifying. Plus, it means I can make more videos about the beat sequencer and creating drums, which is going to be cool. Alrighty, let's jump over here. We are going to be running late today, so apologies, especially for those on the podcast. I know I asked and people said about 30 minutes is what we'd like on the podcast, Pete, and I'll probably be about 40 here today because I want to make sure that we answer all the questions from the folks who are here live as well. We will come up and see what we have. Actually, we're going to go, I think we had some, I'm going to go from the bottom up. That way I'll hopefully not miss anything. Question here from RJ Tor. Hello to you. Says, Pete, which noise reduction plugin do you prefer? For me, there's really only one, and it's Bruce Free by Clevgrand. It's available on both desktop and iPad and iPhone, and it is just really good. It's really simple to use. You play back your audio. If you've got, say, background noise or hiss or some sort of bad noise in your audio, you hit the little ear button, it samples that audio, and then it tries to use EQ and other things to remove that. It's magic voodoo formula. It does really well, and it's my recommendation. Again, if you search Pete Johns Brusfree, Brusfri, you'll find my video all about that. We've got a question here from Bubba. Says, Spark questions. I have a couple of hundred MIDI files. Spark questions. I have a couple of hundred MIDI files created on floppies from a year ago. Path of least resistance to move them to mobile for resurrection. Ooh, that's one that's probably going to take a lot more thinking and time and consideration than I have in this show. But yeah, old MIDI files on floppy drives. Yeah, good question. It's probably relevant because I'm actually going through a bit of a retro phase at the moment. I found all my old cassettes. I've even found all my old digital files that I made on a program called Scream Tracker. If anyone was around in the 90s computer music demo scene and know about S3M files and mod files, yeah, I found all of those. So I'm in basically the same boat, Bubba, in that I'm trying to move things. So maybe that will make a cool topic for us to chat about and do some videos on in the future. So hold that thought and watch this space. But if anyone's got any ideas for Bubba around quick and easy ways to do that, let us know. Question here from Larry. Yes, now I've been negligent. Larry asked this question last week. Have I had success with connecting the Zoom Live Track L8 to the iPad? I haven't yet. I have had a response from Zoom tech support. I have a few things I need to try. I've just been so flat out that I haven't had a chance to. So I will test it. And yeah, don't worry. Even when I get it working, I will put a video out. It'll be instantly done. So you'll know as soon as I know when that happens. Question here from SoulRack M7. How do I use the Extreme Tuning plugin from Extreme Tuning on clean settings for fun? Because I always put clean on fun, but I can't find it. So how to do it? The Extreme Tuning from Extreme Tuning on clean setting. So this is in GarageBand, I'm assuming. Let me just jump in and check this out. So we're looking for, under the audio recorder, under more sounds, And under fun, okay, so it is, so there's clean, monster, robot, dreamy, bullhorn, telephone, extreme tuning, chipmunk, sci-fi. So, Carlito, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the seventh down on the fun settings. So if you go to the fun settings and go 7 down, you should find extreme tuning there. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. I think I saw at least another question. We did have one up here from Metallion58. It says, is there a way to save both on the iPad and iCloud in one tap? This is a good question. And the answer is no. No, unfortunately, there's not. You do need to do a bit of manual. So I did a video during the week about backing up your GarageBand projects, and what you do need to do is actually save it. So if you're saving your projects on iCloud Drive, or let's say you're saving it on your iPad, because like me, you like to just not have it uploading and downloading all the time. So you've saved it on your iPad, then you want to make sure that you've actually got it on your iCloud Drive. You know what? I'm sure someone like Jade Star, and she's probably already answered with this, could set up a Siri shortcut to do that, to do something like backing up all like your thing instantly. So going to your share sheet and pressing a button and instantly sending a copy over to a folder, a backup folder on your iCloud Drive. That would be a cool thing to do. I'm not dobbing you in, Jay, but yeah, you're probably, in fact, I think you've actually answered with that. So a Siri shortcut. I think you need to do some videos about Siri shortcuts and being able to use shortcuts on your iPhone and iPad, Jade, because yeah, I think that would be the answer for something like this. Let's see if we have any more questions. There probably are. I apologize if I've missed your question here. But yes, please, if I have, then make sure that you circle around. You can go to the comment section on the video if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on Facebook. After the video has been processed, you can watch the whole replay again, because why not revisit it? Or if you are watching on the replay, then drop any comments down in the comments field here. Any questions that you have, I will circle back and answer those. And many of those become the actual questions for next week's show. So until next week, I hope you will have a wonderful week of creating and keep doing your best thing. Until next time, I will see you on the next Home Studio Q&A.